FEBE, for those of you who may be new, FEBE is Fostering Entrepreneurial Business Education. It's a weekly news, a weekly networking event that we have. I just came back from Houston. I was in Houston for 3 days at a NACCE convention. NACCE is National Association of Community Colleges Entrepreneurship. There were over 1,000 people there, and I got some great ideas, some of which may impact FEBE. So we'll be giving some information to you about that. Also, Janice and I have to go before the Dean's Council at 11 o'clock. So we'll be scooting out of here early, and Becky will close up FEBE. So I'm putting in all of the announcements that I have to make in front so that you don't miss them. The other thing is a reminder, and I'm sure Becky will bring up about Global Entrepreneurship Week. Again, the way it's going to impact FEBE is it's going to be a 2-week event for FEBE. The Wednesday immediately preceding the Global Entrepreneurship Week, which is November 13th, I believe. 11th, November 11th, I apologize. And then the actual Wednesday of Global Entrepreneurship Week. And the way it's a two-day event is that the Wednesday before we're going to be giving instructions and information as to elevator pitches, so that we invite you to give an elevator pitch either about your business or about yourself. It's a 60-second elevator pitch, and we'll give you samples, etc. Dennis Martin and I will be presenting that portion of FEBE, and then the following week we will in fact have the presentations that will be given out. You will need to sign up for that. There, I believe, are 10 seats for that. It will be an expanded FEBE, 9:30 to 11:30 on that day. But the audience will be participating in reviewing your pitch, and they'll be doing that by using clickers. So everyone will be able, will ask certain questions, and the entire audience will be able to answer through clicking, and then you'll get a printout. So it will help you move forward on that. Lastly is Dunkin' Donuts has been our sponsor for the last 2 years, and they're now into their 3rd year. We appreciate their support of us. It's been a good partnership all along. So if you're ever across the street and you're hungry or you want a good cup of coffee, Dunkin' Donuts has it there. Dave Sisson, who's a franchisee, also has one in Amherst on 58 and also in Cleveland on West 150th. So please have them stop by. Or please stop by, and when you do, thank them, whoever's waiting on you, for supporting FEBE. Now, today what we have is a speaker that has been very close to the college here. He has been an employee of the college for a number of years. I met Ken actually when he was, I served on the board of trustees here at the college, and he took us down the board down to Sinclair Community College down in southwestern part of Ohio, and we went down, drove down there, attended about a 3-hour meeting, and then drove back, and it was and Ken was telling us stories and was a good driver. I mean, we were surprised in light of the fact that he was a police officer. But Ken is going to talk to us about something that is near and dear to those of us who are employed by the college, but also should be everyone, because not only is he going to relate his remarks to the college, but the safety when you're on a college campus, but the safety whenever you're in any kind of public area. And a public area is when you're with one other person. Okay. Now, you may not think that that's possible, but there are some, excuse my language, crazy-ass people out there, and they don't mind blowing themselves up and blowing up whoever's around them. So the thing is that we have to be more alert. We have to be aware of what's going on. And my own personal estimation is there's no one better than Ken that can tell us that. So Ken, with that, don't disappoint. Okay.
Thank you. Good morning. As Lee said, my name is Ken Collins. I'm currently the manager of campus security here at Lorain County Community College. Outside of that, in my other life, I'm a part-time police officer with the Sheffield Village Police Department. I went to Sheffield Village about 2 years ago. Prior to that, I was at Sheffield Lake for about 13 years. So I've been to college since 1999. I started as a part-time security officer, and I've worked my way up. So I kind of see things from both the college security standpoint and from a policing standpoint. So my goal this morning, I'd rather come in and talk to you about the success of your businesses and how things are going great for you guys, but the topic today is responding to an active shooter. And don't think of this strictly on a college campus. Think about movie theaters, grocery stores. We have Drug Mart, Regal, McDonald's, other places. So my goal today is not to scare you, give you anxiety, worry you, just more give you information. I believe information is power, and giving people information and options is critical in my mind. September is National Preparedness Month for campuses across the nation. So we did several of these for our students, for our staff, and then the Umpqua Community College incident happened. Since then, we've stepped up our efforts, and we've pretty much taken this show on the road. We'll do this for 5 people or a group of 50. It doesn't matter who you are, let us know, and we've pretty much pushed it across the campus, any kind of groups or whoever wants us to come in and present. So when we talk about active shooters, everyone always asks, is there a profile? Is this someone we should be looking for? There's no quote profile, but what we've looked at over the years of studies, 96% are male. Generally speaking, they're acting alone. There were 2 incidents in the 90s where there was Columbine in Jonesboro where there was 2 shooters. Jonesboro was 11 and 13-year-old boys that the 13-year-old's girlfriend broke up with them, so they went to the school, pulled the fire alarm. They knew where everyone would go out when they evacuated the school, and they hid in the woods and had Grandpa's rifle and they started shooting at kids as they came out. Columbine, I think we've all seen that. It's scary to think, but it's also things we're dealing with now. A lot of these people who commit this are social isolates. They aren't very social. They kind of stay off the radar. They don't really interact with people. They harbor feelings of hate or anger. And when I say that, I think of almost something happens to them or they experience something that in our mind is no big deal. Hey, someone didn't say hi to us or someone gave us a look, not a big deal. In their mind, that is the only thing. They are so upset and so focused on that event that's just what they think about. They do have some contact with mental health professionals, but a lot of times they don't have criminal records. These aren't people that have multiple contacts with the police. Some of them never use a firearm until the day they commit their crime. So these aren't people that the police have multiple interactions with. It's just something happens, something clicks with them, and they start to go down this path. It's
Ken?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Are those characteristics of individuals that are shooting on campus only, or are they for any active shooter where there's multiple?
These have been, actually these fit across multiple incidents. We used to show a picture, we show a slide with a bunch of pictures of the different shooters, and we've gone away from that because one thing we're not going to do is we're not going to give them the notoriety they want. We're not going to glorify what they did, and we're not going to put their names out there because that's what they want. They want this to be famous or infamous for what they did, and we have gone away from that, and we're not going to focus on it anymore because that's what they want, and we're not going to give them that. So, but the slide we used to show, it had incidents from schools and from other shootings that have happened. So one of the things we've learned over the years after Columbine, it used to be you would have an incident, the SWAT team would come out maybe an hour and a half later, negotiations would start up. If that broke down, they would enter. After Columbine, they realized the SWAT team, you didn't have much time. So they went into what's called a diamond. You get 4 police officers there, you enter, and with a diamond, you can pretty much rotate, depending on where it was, you can go forward, backward, side to side. And then we started to realize you may be somewhere where your second officer is 20 minutes away. So Lakeland Community College, a police chief there in the early 2000s wrote an article that the first officer on a scene has to go in and try and fend off this attacker. Well, everyone thought he was crazy. It's like, hey, you're talking about suicide, going into an active shooter by yourself. Well, now we look at it, there's no question. If there's an active shooter, the first guy on the scene is going in. It doesn't matter if he's out-armed or if he's outnumbered, they're going in. They want to trying to prevent or buy time for those people that are in there. The Umpqua Community College incident lasted about 8 minutes. If we were to call Elyria Police right now, they might get here in probably 3 to 5 minutes, maybe longer, depending on, because of where we're at in Elyria, we're in a pretty safe area. So they only have one car up here. So then we look to our partners in Sheffield Village, who we have a lot of businesses down here on Abbey Road. It may be them responding, or Avon, or North Ridgeville. So depending on where the incident, who could get there first would be, they would respond. We are working with the other communities to give them maps to try and to slow that time down. But within that 5-6 minutes, you may have to do something on your own. And we're going to get into what your options are. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to show you a video of how State made on what our options are if the police aren't there yet. One of the advantages the college has done is they have contracted with Elyria Police. We have an Elyria police officer here off duty. He's here 8-9 hours a day. It's different. It's a group of 7 or 8 officers they pull from. So right now, one of the guys who works day shift is working here. It's his day off, so he's patrolling the campus either in the car or he's walking around. So we try and partner with them so they become familiar with the campus, and hopefully if something were to happen, they're here. We can slow them down, or slow that incident down. It can happen anywhere. These are incidents from pretty much across the nation. These aren't just schools. These are businesses. These are neighborhoods, things that have happened since the early, probably 50s or 60s. So you kind of see, one of the things my supervisor, Keith Brown, talked about is the Umpqua one happened in Oregon. Look at all the incidents that happened in the East and the Midwest. Well, these ones in the East and Midwest seem to get more coverage than some things that happen on the West Coast. We don't know why that is, but it seems to be. And one of the comments made in an earlier session I did is people said, well, I should move to probably Montana or Wyoming. There's nothing going on there. And someone else said, well, yeah, everyone there pretty much carries a gun everywhere. So it's one of those things, but triggering events. Why did these things happen? Loss of relationships. Maybe it's a breakup. Maybe it's a divorce. Maybe it's some kind of disconnection with a friend. That may be it. That may be what triggers this. They may have an altercation with a faculty member or with an employee or with someone that works at a place, and that may be what it is. It could be bullying or something, like I said, perceived grievance or injustice. Something happens to them that they feel very offended to the point that they want to do this, where in our mind it's not a big deal. It's just what it is. They feel humiliated or rejected. Sometimes they ask maybe a boy or girl out and they tell them no, or they get kind of rejected that way. Or they have extremist views, or they're dealing with mental health difficulties. A lot of the times after these come out, you start to look at their background. They're on medications, or they've had contact with mental health professionals. And sometimes you just don't know what triggered them to do it. They just did it. And they don't leave a note. They don't leave a manifesto, as they call it, to describe why they did it. They just do it. And it's unfortunate, but it's one of the things where we study it and try and figure out why, and just trying to prevent it. Red flags. We have on our campus what's called a threat assessment team, TAT team. And what it is, if there is a student, employee, visitor that makes a comment or says something or writes in a paper that would be considered concerning, they would forward it to us and we take it to the threat assessment team. Threat assessment has faculty, staff, crisis counselors on it, and we would just discuss what the options are. What is the incident? Is it something that's not a big deal or something we need to look further into? We have levels there's 4 levels of severity. We had a student that drew a machine gun on the top of his paper. And we brought him in, talked with him. He's not from the US, he's from Vietnam, and talking to him, he's like, well, I didn't think it was that big a deal. And we interviewed him for a good half hour and really talking with him. I don't think he really thought it was a big deal. We talked to him about different things, and I had one of the crisis counselors meet with him, and in his mind, he didn't realize the culture here, you probably shouldn't do that. So we took it to threat assessment, and we've really followed up with him just to make sure that everything's okay with him. Fascination with weapons. One of these bullets by himself is not, well, especially this one is not, it's a red flag, but not something that, if someone goes down to Gander Mountain and buys a gun, we're not going to say, oh, they're going to shoot up a school. No, we call them policing, we call it the totality of the circumstances. You look at the bigger picture. One thing maybe, and you start piecing things together, okay, we got a problem here. Fascination with previous shootings or acts of violence. The Umpqua shooter was very fascinated with previous incidents. He even posted on threads on the online about different incidents that happened, that he held these people in high regard and high standards. So it's one of those things. To me, I'm not that To us, we don't think we don't really research this stuff, but in his mind, these are great things. To us, it's horrible acts of crime, horrible acts of violence, but to him, he praised these people, and it's sad. Expressions of suicidal, homicidal thoughts. That is something that we deal with. Someone's having suicidal thoughts, not so much homicidal, but suicidal thoughts. They're depressed. They're having issues either on campus or off campus. We try to get them help and work with them to keep them on track. Then leakage. Leakage is something that it's kind of what they do is they will announce to somebody or put it on a web page, on their Facebook or on Twitter that they're going to do something. With the Umpqua shooter, he posted on this thread that if you go to school in the Northwest, stay home because there's going to be some violence that day. Well, the Northwest could be 8 states. And to me, I've heard different sides of this. Some people think it's a cry for help. In my mind, it's probably not a cry for help. What it is, it ups the game for them a little bit. In their mind, there's almost that idea of I might get caught before I do this versus just blindsided. So they kind of want that notoriety, and that's what he did. So leakage is one of those things that's debated, but it's out there. And we always recommend writings and comments endorsing of violence. We try and work with our faculty and staff. If someone says something or writes something, let us know. We'd rather investigate it and it be nothing and be something that was just an anomaly, or is there more to it? And I had to find out later that this is what we could have prevented this. A lot of these aren't random acts. A lot of times they've been either our students there, employees, they've gone to the movie theater, they've gone to what's called pre-operational surveillance, where they've gone in to see what kind of security there is, when there's the busiest time. For the college, between 11 and noon is when our busiest time, we have people coming and going. If you come at 7 o'clock in the morning, there's barely employees here, let alone students. So they do pre-operational surveillance. They will walk around. They've learned that law enforcement response is going to be there in probably under 10 minutes. So they know they have a window to do as much damage as they can. Unless they're coming for somebody in that specific room, if we were to lock this door, they're probably not going to waste their time trying to get through a door. They're looking for victims. Unless they're looking for someone specifically in this room that they are targeting, they are not going to waste their time trying to get through a door. They're going to skip that door and move on. We're going to get into that on lockdown procedures. Lone aggressor, a lot of times they bring multiple weapons. If you saw the thing in France where the 3 Americans stopped that attacker there on the subway or on the train, he had guns, he had knives, he had long guns, he had handguns. He was ready to go, but those guys intervened and stopped him. Even as they wrestled him, he pulled out a knife and stabbed one of them. So usually they'll bring multiple weapons. Soft target locations, there's thousands of soft target locations in Lorain County alone. Colleges, hospitals, movie theaters, gas stations, Burger Kings, there's all sorts of places out here that are, but you can't put armed guards at McDonald's entrance. It's just not feasible or reality. So it's just one of the things that we have to kind of accept and move on with. And a lot of times when the way these things end is that the person will commit suicide. They generally do not engage law enforcement. Now at Umpqua, he said he wanted to kill police officers. He was going to engage them. The police officers showed up. They shot him once. He ran into a classroom, laid on the floor, shot himself. So his attitude changed once he got hit once. At some of the other ones, at Chardon, with the student there, he walks in the cafeteria, starts shooting people. A football teacher or a football coach yells at him, doesn't even touch him, just yells at him, "Hey!" The kid snaps up and just runs. Got scared and ran. Football teacher was unarmed, had nothing that could have defended himself, but just his voice and his size yelling at that kid, the kid snapped and then just ran out. On the way out, he shot another student, but they ended up finding him hiding in a field by the school there. So the people that are doing this, they aren't trained killers, they aren't assassins, they have all this military training. They're, for lack of a better word, they're punks and they're cowards is what they are. They're going into a room of unarmed people who aren't expecting this and committing this violent act. So they aren't expecting any kind of resistance, whether it's from law enforcement or people in that room or students in that room. When we talk about mental preparedness, at the police department, anytime I'm on the road, I'm going through scenarios in my head. If Speedway were to get robbed right now, how am I going to get there? When I get there, what am I going to do? If I come up on this traffic stop, someone I stop for speed, as I start to walk up, what am I going to do if they jump out of the car? Or what am I going to do if they start shooting at me? Where am I going to go? Trying to mentally prepare yourself, because one of those times you're going to hit on something where you've already prepared for and you're going to react. All right, so one of the things we talk about is being mentally prepared. You go into a movie theater, you look around, not thinking so much active shooter, but what if there's a fire in there? Are you going to try and go out the entrance you came in, or there's exits down at the bottom of the stairs? If you're at the mall, okay, something happens here, I'm here with my family, where do we go? Or if I'm at your place of business, okay, someone comes in the front door, do we have exits to get out? Or is there other options? Maybe not a door, but a window or something along those lines. And be decisive. One of the things, I went through a training called ALICE, some of you may have heard of it. I'm an ALICE instructor. And one of the things they talk about in ALICE is be decisive. You can either do the right thing, do the wrong thing, or do nothing. Doing the right thing obviously is the best option. You may run out the door and run right into the attacker, and then you're pretty much, you're in bad shape at that point. But it's better than standing here and doing nothing, waiting for him to come into the room. And so we say do the right thing and do the right thing, do the wrong thing, but don't do nothing. Just do something. But be decisive, act, because you may be the person in the room that gets everybody else to follow you and gets everybody out. So look around your environment when you're walking out through the mall, when you're walking out to your car. We do just a general security awareness for our students, for our staff. When you're walking out to the parking lot, pay attention. Who's around you? Are people standing by your car? Or if you're standing at your entrance to your business, is someone walking in that doesn't belong? Or are they carrying in a book bag or a backpack? Well, on our college campus, everybody carries backpacks, so that wouldn't be an anomaly. But does someone walk into the movie theater carrying a big backpack? What do you need that for? So trying to be mentally prepared and being aware of your surroundings, your environment. Obviously, identifying exits, stairwells. The entrance you came in may not be the one that you go out. If you go to hotels, a lot of everyone goes on vacation. I will, once I get to my room, get settled in, take 5 minutes just to walk down. Okay, I know where the exit is if there's a fire. Count the doors, because if that hallway's filled with smoke, you're not going to know. And I actually we went to Myrtle Beach a couple years back, and if you've been to Myrtle Beach, I would have Broadway at the beach, which is like the main entertainment area. A big storm comes through and pretty much knocks power out at the whole place. And as we're driving down the main strip, power is going out as we're hitting the lights. I mean, as we pull up on light, there goes the whole block. And so we got to the hotel. The hotel was pitch black. I had a flashlight in my car, and we were able to get to our room, but I knew how many doors we were and just kind of mentally prepared. So, and then this is from Virginia Tech. This is what you'll see here are the 5 classrooms that were affected by this event. They're on the second floor of Norris Hall. There's 2 responses that were approached that day, a passive response and a proactive response. Now, I'm not going to blame the people that in 211, 207, 206. I'm not going to say you should have did something or anything, because, like Christina said in the opening video, they didn't have time. But people that were in 205 and 204 did have time, and they acted. So you're going to see in green are those students that were unharmed. They were able to survive that day. In 205, they heard the gunshots. They knew right away it wasn't construction. Some people said there was construction outside. They knew right away it wasn't construction. They knew it was gunshots. They locked the door and barricaded it, and then everyone got away from the door. In 204, the instructor there, he survived the Holocaust and was a Holocaust survivor, and ended up here during this event. He was actually killed on this day. What he did, he heard the gunshots, he recognized it right away, so that's gunshots, open up the window, because the way their windows were, he was able to open up, had students start jumping out from the second floor. So you've seen the videos, you've seen the pictures, he had them jumping out of the second floor to get down to the ground. Now, a majority of the people in that classroom did survive. Here are the ones that were wounded or injured. You're going to start to see people that were shot. On 204, 2 of them broke their ankles or legs as they jumped out, but they survived. So you start to see as these rooms here, now you'll see the red bodies are the ones that were killed. That's unfortunate. If you look at 204, the 2 people that were killed, the instructor actually held the door when the attacker was trying to come in. The instructor laid up against the door, and the attacker shot him through the door, and eventually he was able to get in and shot the last person trying to get out the window. So then in these rooms here, like I said, they didn't have much time at all. He came into the room, and like she said, everyone froze. And I like to say, don't freeze, but I can't say what's going to happen. I wouldn't know in my mind, I have an idea what I would do, but I can't say, someone comes in here, we're humans. This is going to be one of the worst situations you've ever been in. You try and prepare for it, but who knows if that's what you're going to do. And when he came in, and he killed the instructor first. Now this room here, he came in one time, shot them, and then left for another room. They were able to barricade the room. Not the people that were not shot, the people that were injured were able to still barricade the room. And they laid up against the door to keep it from opening up. They put their feet up against it, laid on the ground, so if he was shooting high. So you saw down at Umpqua, student there to try to hold the door, shot 5 times, tried to slow him down. And when he had shot twice, and the shooter came in, and the guy told him, the student told him, it saved my son's birthday, and he shot him 3 more times. He's still alive, he survived. So these are some of the people that what we changed it now, we show pictures of people who took action. This is that student I just talked about, shot 5 times, still alive with his son there. This is the professor at Virginia Tech that saved everybody's life in that room, except for the one that wasn't able to make it out. By recognizing right away that there's a problem, there's gunshots, let's get everybody out the window. And that's what he did. He told them to go, and they did. He held the door long enough for them to get out. And this is, if you heard of Gabby Giffords, the congresswoman in Phoenix who got shot doing she was doing a signing, a book signing or something there, and a person came up and shot her. There's 6 people in this picture, but I want to point out her. After he unloaded his weapon, he fired all his rounds. He went to reload. She was tucked down, and she recognized that when he was going to reload, that this is her moment, this is her chance. She knew she had to do something. She tackled him. She's 77-year-old grandma who tackled him. And what she did, everyone else came out and they took them into custody. But it doesn't have to be someone that's a 25-year-old fitness nut that does this. This was her. She knew she had grandkids. She said, I had to do something, and she took action. And she was able to save a lot of lives that day by doing that. We talk about being prepared to act. The Department of Homeland Security has a training online that you can do. It's called Run, Hide, Fight, or Respond to an Active Shooter. It's free. It's self-paced. You get a certificate. There's a little test at the end you have to take. You get a certificate that you, when you finish. And if anybody wants this, I can send you out the link to it. But it's been there for a couple of years, and it takes maybe an hour or 2 to do if you stayed the whole time. But you can self-pace it. You can start at one point, take a break, come back the next day and finish it up, or however you want to do it. But this is great information to have. So when we talk about run, hide, fight, our primary option is to evacuate. What we tell our students is you go, or our faculty and staff, you go out, if you can evacuate, go. Don't go to your car, just go. Don't come back for your purse or your computer, just go. We can come back for that stuff later. Because if you've seen our campus in the middle of the afternoon, especially in wintertime, we have to close down the campus because the snow's too bad. It's gridlock trying to get off campus. So we tell people just head north, south, east, or west away from the campus, and we will notify you. We have notification systems on campus. We have a PA system. We have an external siren. We have that text message system we talked about. We have email. We have other things we can notify our students and staff and our visitors with. So we have plans in place, things we're always continuously working on. This month, we're doing a tabletop exercise with Elyria Fire, Police, and then Life Care for a tornado, a fire, and a active shooter. We're going to do what's called a tabletop. We're all in a room similar to this, and we just kind of walk through scenarios and, okay, this happened here, what do we do next? And we just kind of brainstorm and go through with everyone in the room. So running is the best option. If you can run or evacuate, go. If it's a situation where you have to, if it was out in the hallway or you had to lock down, wouldn't just lock the door. We would put tables, chairs, anything. I realize this room has glass, so it's not the most ideal situation, but tables against the windows, tables against the doors, in a classroom, desk, in a place of business, office chairs, desk, copiers, whatever it is, to try and make yourself a hard target and to buy you time. Remember, you need 5-6 minutes. And I mean, it's going to be different for each of you, or depending where you work at or where you go, but copy rooms, storage room, mail rooms, places like that. We try and go around to our division offices across campus and walk through and say, hey, this would be a good area to go to if you had to. This is another good area. And then obviously the final option, which we don't want to do, is if you don't have time to do that, or you're just not able to lock down or get out, and the person comes in. We have chairs in, we have hot coffee, we have water bottles, we have stuff over there. Is it going to kill them? No. But can it buy you time to be able to close that gap, to be able to tackle them? Yeah. Because like I said, a lot of these guys aren't looking to be confronted. They are waiting for an umpqua. He walked into the room, told everybody to get in the room. Well, first shot the teacher, walks into the room, tells everybody to get in the middle of the room. Everyone gets in the middle of the room. He has control of the room at that point. If in a room like this, as big as we are, as many people as we have, if someone were to come in, we have 28, 25 of us in here, we could spread out, and you may be able to get a couple of them, but eventually we're going to overwhelm them. Same thing in a classroom of students, 20, 25 students. Now, that's under ideal circumstances where everybody's going to act. People are going to scream, they're going to hide, they're going to freeze. You're hoping to maybe get a quarter of people to act. But it's one of the things you got to kind of think about now versus trying to operate when it does happen. So think about, within the room, what do we have that we can use? And then even in a room like this, if we had to bust out that window, someone says, well, we can't use these chairs, we would find something to break the window out, whether it be keys or something. Someone talked about using a diamond ring to score the window, then hit it at that point to break it open. Now these windows, some of them are older, so they don't have the safety glass. They're not made to be exited out of, but under dire circumstances, we do what we had to do, right? So even think about your places of business, where you work at, with your employees. Again, I'm not here to scare you, not here to worry you, but it's just to give you information, food for thought, and trying to think about when you go back to your places of business, what we could be doing, what you should be doing, and working from that point. I had someone say yesterday to me, and we do one of these for our TAT team, and she says, Ken, you couldn't expect me to do this. And I said, well, I understand this is, I'm asking you the impossible. I understand that. But I expect you, I would hope you could try to do something, but don't think about just me. Think about your family, spouse, wife, kids, grandkids. They expect you to do something, right? So it's one of those things you don't want to be put in a situation, but if you are, you got to do something. The chances of you being involved in one of these, you have a better chance of winning the lottery. So look at it that way, but unfortunately, these do happen. And now someone has said to me, well, it's become a really scary society out there with a lot of these things happening, and I understand that. I think a lot of they are happening, but I think we're more exposed to it because of media coverage and Twitter and Facebook and things we're able to access. So I look at it I understand it's scary out there, but we cannot let that fear control us. We still got to go to the mall. We still got to go to movie theaters. Still got to go to work in the colleges. We cannot let them control us by the acts they're committing. And so, is it scary? Yeah, but was it scary when in the 60s when we had nuclear missiles pointed at our country? Yeah, I mean, there's things that have happened over the years that have been really scary. Think about 9/11. After 9/11, everyone was afraid to fly. And even so, I mean, but now if I said we were going to fly wherever, we'd jump on a plane and go, right? Things happen, and so we don't want what these crimes that have been committed. We don't want that to control us as people and as a society. So try and prepare as much as you can, but understand that this may never happen to you. But if it does, be ready to act, or whether it's run, hiding in place, or fighting. So then the last slide is, where do we go from here? And this is what I use for our faculty and staff. Do a walkthrough of your workspace. Again, it can apply to your businesses. Do a walkthrough. What areas can you use for places of refuge? If you had to evacuate, do you have an exit out the back door where you take garbage or take deliveries out? Can you get out that door? Identify multiple exits, and what are the areas that you could shelter if you need to be? So that's the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right.